I'm here with my older brother and colleague, PJ. And today we want to talk about something called offshore investments. The world is currently gotten so small. With technology, you can now, with a click of a button, invest basically anywhere in the world. So how would you go about it? And for who is offshore investing? Should anybody and everybody invest offshore?
First of all, you have to ask the question, like with any other investment, what is your financial goal that you want to achieve? Because it's very different that if you want to invest for a short term, or you want to invest for a long term. Offshore investments is very important because you want to diversify your investments. Because if you are in South Africa, your income is in South Africa, your home is in South Africa, all your other investments in South Africa. So it's very good to diversify across your investments, offshore, directly or indirectly.
So you mentioned diversify and how important it is, firstly, because we are such a small player in the whole world, but also to diversify risk, to mitigate your risk. Am I right?
Yes, because if something happens to South Africa and the rand weakens quite heavily, like maybe Zimbabwe, and that's why a lot of people are talking about diversifying because they're afraid that something like that might happen to us.
Yeah, so there's two ways, and you talk about the rand, but there's two ways to invest offshore. So one is still investing in the rand and having offshore exposure, and the other way is physically sending money out of the country and you invest in dollars or in euros.
Yeah, so most people don't know, even if they only have a pension fund or retirement annuity, they already invested offshore. They already invested in shares like Apple, Amazon, and that. Because in your retirement annuity or pension fund, you've got 30% now up to 45% offshore exposure. But like I said, that's indirectly because you still invest in rands, but indirectly those asset management companies go and buy those shares. But then, like I said, you can have exposure directly as well.
So then you physically take money out of the country, and it's under R1 million. It's quite easy to do per individual. And if you invest over R1 million per year, then you have to have a tax clearance certificate.
Yeah, so it's still, a lot of people say, oh, they're afraid they won't be able to invest offshore. But like I said, it's very big limits we're talking about. It's 11 million rand just with the tax clearance that you can take offshore. So for most people, that's quite easily attainable, don't have those type of assets.
But then very important, like you mentioned, you have to look at a person where he stays. And it's just his whole scenario, because a lot of people want to invest offshore or send money offshore, but then you realize they're still going to live in South Africa. They're going to spend their money here, and they maybe do not have as a big a portfolio. So it doesn't make sense, but it is quite expensive to invest offshore as well.
Yeah, it's not that it's expensive, but it depends, like I said, what's your goal, what you want to achieve. Because if you need the money in a year's time or 2 years' time, you don't want to go through all the hassle, and there's also a cost to take it offshore and then bring it back. Because there's also more risk offshore. And when we talk about risk, it can be quite, movements can go up and down. Because now you don't only have the markets that can go up and down, share prices, you also have the currencies. Because now everyone believes the rand's going to go to 20 rand to the dollar. It can easily happen that the rand strengthened, and now you took money offshore for a short term, and now the rand strengthened, and your investment is actually valued less.
And also an interesting point is on the JSE, a lot of these companies also have their earnings offshore. I remember when it was Eskom and with all blackouts and load shedding, the JSE reached record highs, and people couldn't understand, why is the JSE reaching record highs if we have load shedding stage, I think it was 6 at that stage. Because a lot of these companies, take Richmond for as an example, they sell luxury goods to mostly Chinese people. So a lot of these companies do still earn their money offshore, even though they are listed in South Africa. So that's also an offshore aspect to it as well.
Yeah, so even like I said, in your retirement, you can have access to those companies. You can take 40% offshore. So most of your investments is already offshore, even if it's in rands. But like I said, you can talk to your financial advisor and look at your own portfolio and say, how much should I take offshore, and should I do it directly or indirectly?
100%. Thank you very much, PJ. Just to summarize it, make sure that for each individual, you have a personal plan. Speak to someone that's knowledgeable about it, and don't just go to investing offshore just for the sake of investing offshore. Make sure it makes sense for you.